The Christian Post reported yesterday, and today the AP verified it, that the Taliban is going house to house with a list of Christians. They know where they live, and they're beheading them. They're literally beheading. They're killing every Christian family. And even Christians that say, no, I'm not a Christian, they're taking their phone, and if they find a Bible app, they massacre the whole family. It's a very scary situation for our Christian brothers and sisters in Afghanistan today. And this is all caused, like I said yesterday, Alexander the Great said he would rather face an army of lions led by a sheep than an army of sheep led by a lion. We have an army of lions. The 82nd Airborne are over there. The Marine Infantry are over there. These men are lions. They're ready to go out and fight and rescue people. But they're led by a sheep who's keeping them penned up at that air base, at that airport. But as Christians, we're in a different army. We're an army of sheep led by a lion. The Lion of Judah, Jesus Christ. And our warrior king, our lion leader, has sent his Holy Spirit upon his people. And he's sending Christians in there, saving these Christians, American Christians, British Christians. So there's a ministry called All Things Possible. It's run by a former U.S. Marine, Victor Marks. He's got planes, he's got pilots. They got volunteers to go in and rescue these Christians. These Christians got to run. They got to leave because they're Afghan citizens and not Americans. They can't get to our airport. Our Marines aren't allowed to let them in. So they're going to hide in the hills, hide in the mountains. They're fleeing. They're trusting solely on God. They can't trust us. We turned our backs on these people. But these Christians are flying in and taking them out. So please pray about supporting this ministry if you can. It's called All Things Possible Ministries. And there's another one, a Mercury One. You might be more familiar with that one. That one's run by Glenn Beck, radio host Glenn Beck. Earlier this week, he said he was going to try and raise $20 million. They got their financial guys and they got their logistic guys, and like, with $20 million, we can get 5,000 Christians out of there. And that was their goal, to raise $20 million. The first day, they raised 10. So I didn't catch them the second day. When I'm driving during work, I put on the radio, I get bits and pieces of these programs because, I go in and out of areas, I get no reception. But I'm sure he got it the next day. So that's another great ministry that's saving these Christians over there. It's called Mercury One. And we just really need to pray. It's a horrible situation over there. And but God, God loves these people, and he's calling us Christians to do whatever we can. If you're a pilot or, a lot of these guys are ex-military guys. They're familiar with the terrain. They're going in there because we can't depend on this leader that we have. We cannot depend on Joe Biden to help. He's not even helping the Americans. He told Americans, get to the airport and we'll get you out of there. But the Taliban's got the airport surrounded. And when the friendly media, doesn't get any more friendly than George Stephanopoulos. He was the campaign manager for the Clintons, been a Democrat strategist, and he's very left-wing on the news. He's always spinning stories in favor of Democrats. Even he had to ask him, how are these people going to get to the airport that's surrounded by the Taliban? And he's like, we got the Taliban's promise. They're not going to hurt anybody. And he's like, so they're not beating Americans? We're seeing images on the news that they're beating Americans. He goes, no, not to my knowledge are they. And then within an hour, the Secretary of Defense, Secretary Austin, told Congress, yeah, we have reports of the Taliban beating Americans. So I don't know if this guy, I've been watching politics, since I'm 15, 40 years. And I know this guy Biden, and he's always been a shyster, always been a corrupt politician. But he's definitely different. He definitely has some kind of dementia or Alzheimer's going on. So I don't know if he believes what he was saying, because that's what they told him to say, or if he's just so used to lying, 40 years in Washington, and he just thinks because Stephanopoulos, he knew him during, when he was a Democrat strategist, so maybe he thought Stephanopoulos would just cover for him. But the media really isn't covering it for him. I mean, they're not going after him like they would Trump. I mean, now there would be a demanding impeachment hearings, and Nancy Pelosi would already be drawing up the papers to get this guy impeached. But they are asking questions, or actually acting like journalists for the first time in, 16 years. So the answers are scary this guy is giving. And, there's a lot of theories why. There's a lot of theories why he's allowing this to happen. But it could be as simple as what President Obama said. When President Obama wouldn't endorse Biden in the primaries, he was hoping someone else was running on the Democrat ticket. He told one of his aides, never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. So it could be as simple as that. And then, I've talked to some doctors that, they watch him and they tell me, doctors in my church, people I know, like he definitely has some kind of dementia or something going on. And one of the problems is people get stubborn. So he can't admit, he said the other day, he has no regrets. He has no regrets. People are getting slaughtered in the streets. A woman the other day came out of her house without her burqa, was gunned down by Taliban, killed. They go in the houses, they demand the women to cook them dinner. They didn't like what the woman cooked. They burned her to death, put her on fire. These people are savages. And we have the capability to stop this. And for some reason, we're not. Now, I'm not big into conspiracy theories, but I do know money controls these corrupt politicians. And Joe Biden has been a corrupt politician for a long time. There's no denying this. We know for a fact, Hunter Biden has said this on Good Morning America. The mayor of Moscow's widow, the richest woman in all of Russia, gave Hunter Biden a gift for $3.5 million when his father was vice president. Hunter Biden admitted on Good Morning America he made tens of millions of dollars from these China deals he did. And he admits that laptop that the FBI had is his. And on it, he complains that he's got to give half of his take that he makes from all these deals with Russia and China to his dad. So Joe Biden is definitely compromised. He definitely owes favors. And in June, it was reported by Politico that Vladimir Putin told our president, like, whoa, it's like a Godfather movie with someone trying to tell Michael Corleone, this is what you're going to do. It's like, whoa, no, that's not how it works. We're the president. This is the president of the United States. Vladimir Putin don't tell him. But apparently, with Joe Biden, Vladimir Putin tells him things. And Vladimir Putin said, I don't want you guys in Afghanistan, and I don't want you guys in Central Asia, because we were going to set up little bases around Afghanistan to protect us from terrorist attacks. But apparently, Russia doesn't want it, and China doesn't want it. He said China doesn't want it either. So we're not doing that. We're obeying Vladimir Putin. And if you think this is too far-fetched, just think about it. The first thing that Joe Biden did was cancel, his first executive order was to get rid of the Keystone Pipeline that Trump had approved that would have created tens of thousands of American jobs and kept us energy independent, because under Trump we became energy independent for the first time in 70 years. Now he's asking OPEC, our sworn enemies, Iran, to pump more oil for us. And he said he did it because he was concerned about the climate. But Trump disapproved the pipeline from Russia to Germany of natural gas because he said, we could provide that, and Russia is your enemy. We're paying billions of dollars to protect you from Russia, and you're going to do business with Russia. So Trump stopped that pipeline. Biden approves the pipeline. So Biden is giving Putin and the Chinese everything they want. And they want nothing more than to make us look like fools in Afghanistan, to get us out of Afghanistan. Because they have a lot of influence in Central Asia, but we had Afghanistan. Now they get to share Afghanistan. It's a very strategic location. So, is Joe Biden compromised financially? He should be impeached. Is Joe Biden just too weak in his brain because of dementia? then someone needs to invoke the 25th Amendment. It was designed just for this situation. Either way, this man cannot lead. We need to pray that God miraculously removes this guy. And I mean, his vice president is not much better, probably worse. I don't even know what to say. All I know is that we need God to intervene in a miraculous way. But right now, our main concern are the people in Afghanistan. Because not only are there Christians that we got to get out, even the regular Afghan people that don't have visas to come to America, they're stuck there. Think about it. There's children, if you're 20 years old or younger, you've never been under Taliban rule. America went in there and liberated them. That's what we do, America. We liberate countries. We liberated them, gave them their own government, spent $1 trillion helping them to be free, making women equal to men, something they never heard of over there. And these women, there's women in school, there's women working in banks, there's a woman mayor. These people are going to go back to the 9th century where they can't even leave their house. They can't even go to school. The Taliban would kill mothers that were teaching their daughters how to read. And then they would gouge the eyes out of the daughters before we got there. It's going to go right back to that. This is a horrible situation that could have very well been prevented. So we need to pray for the Afghan people. And like I said, support these ministries, Mercury One, All Things Possible Ministries, and pray that the world sees and the American people see the corruption in Washington. I mean, because it's not just Joe Biden been taking millions from the Chinese and the Russians. I mean, Dianne Feinstein, we find out her driver, her chauffeur, it was reported like 2 years ago, front page news, was a communist spy for China. 20 years. All they did was deport him. Nothing much was said. It was swept underneath. Just so happens Dianne Feinstein's husband has a business that makes tens of millions of dollars dealing with the Chinese every year. Nancy Pelosi's husband makes tens of millions of dollars dealing with the Chinese. Eric Swalwell, on our intelligence community, got caught sleeping with a Chinese spy. His girlfriend was a Chinese spy. They deported her. Nancy Pelosi not only refuses to make him resign from his position as Congress, she still kept him in the intelligence community, looking at highly secretive information. But it's not just the Democrats. I mean, the Democrats are way more corrupt, way more in bed with communist China, but we even have it on the Republican side. Mitch McConnell's wife owns a business that ships cargo ships back and forth from China. And guess who supplies the crew? The Communist Chinese Party. How is this even legal? So it goes on both sides. This is why they hated Trump so much. This is why there were never Trump or Republicans in Washington. This is why the Democrats hated him. Because even in the media, Bloomberg makes they say he makes $100 to $200 million a year doing business in China. Trump was stopping all that. He was getting rid of all that corruption. Trump was the first president to figure out that China was our number one enemy. And they couldn't handle that. So we just got to pray that this horrible situation will bring to light all the corruption that's in Washington. And we're able to elect, we're not going to be able to do anything at 24 in the White House, but 2022 we can elect good men and women to Congress, take back Congress from one-party rule, and just pray like please pray the rosary for our Christian brothers and sisters over there. And this whole situation brings back to mind when I was still an evangelical. Pope Francis was reaching out to us, and he said something that's really struck me. He said, brothers and sisters, us Catholics and you Protestants, we have an ecumenism of blood. And I'm like, that's interesting. What's he getting at? He said, in the Middle East, when the Taliban and Al-Qaeda behead people, they don't say to them, are you a Catholic Christian? Or are you a Baptist Christian? Are you a Methodist Christian? Like it matters to them. All they say to them, are you a Christian? And if the answer is yes, they behead them. And this is what he meant. We're in this together. We have evangelical Christians and Catholic Christians over there getting persecuted. And I'm sure they're not arguing doctrine at this point. At this point, they're praying together for our warrior king, our Lion of Judah, to save our sheep that are running to the mountains. So please pray for brothers and sisters, and if you have the resources, donate to these charities. We got to get them out. God bless. Stay Catholic.